The Trump Organization's longtime money man has flipped against the company. Ex-CFO Alan Weisselberg pleading guilty to more than a dozen felonies, including tax fraud and grand larceny. In a plea deal with Manhattan's district attorney, Weisselberg has agreed to testify at the upcoming trial of former President Trump's company. In exchange for his testimony, Weisselberg will serve only 5 months in jail on Rikers Island and pay back nearly $2 million in taxes. Prosecutors say Weisselberg designed and ran a 15-year tax scheme at the Trump Organization that gave himself and other executives lavish, off-the-books perks, including luxury vehicles. Weisselberg's attorneys say the guilty plea was one of the most difficult decisions of the CFO's life. In a statement, he says Mr. Weisselberg decided to enter a plea of guilty today to put an end to this case and the years-long legal and personal nightmares it has caused for him and his family. Rather than risk the possibility of 15 years in prison, he has agreed to serve 100 days. Now, notably, sources tell NBC News there are no indications that Weisselberg will flip against former President Trump personally and implicate him in any crime, only his company. Here's NBC News investigative correspondent Tom Winter.
From longtime Trump Organization money man
Mr. Weisselberg, how do you feel, sir?
To convicted felon, Alan Weisselberg today admitted to years of not paying the tax man while serving as the chief financial officer behind Donald Trump's brand. The DA's office says for years, Weisselberg and his family benefited from lavish benefits that he never paid taxes on. Among them, rent for his luxury apartment, multiple Mercedes-Benz cars, private school tuition for his grandkids, and furnishings for a Florida home, all totaling nearly $2 million in unreported income, which he now has to pay back. This plea agreement is contingent on Weisselberg testifying truthfully against the Trump Organization, implicating both himself and his former employer in criminality in the process. If he doesn't, the DA says he'll recommend Weisselberg serve time, 5 to 20 years in state prison. In a statement, a spokesperson for the Trump Organization called Weisselberg, quote, a fine and honorable man who for the past 4 years has been harassed, persecuted, and threatened by law enforcement. Adding, the 2 Trump companies that the Manhattan DA has been targeting, however, will not be taking a plea for the simple reason that they have done nothing wrong. Weisselberg, now the latest Trump associate to face prison time. Michael Cohen, the former Trump fixer turned foe, who served time himself for tax-related crimes, weighing in today.
Michael, very quickly, they didn't flip Alan Weisselberg. What is it about Donald Trump that inspires such loyalty, that somebody's willing to go to prison?
Yeah, stupidity is the only way I can describe it. I talk about that all the time. It's why I even ended up working for him. It was just stupidity. It was a lack of, better judgment.
Manhattan District Attorney's Office says the trial against the Trump Organization is scheduled to start with jury selection on October 24th. Meanwhile, Alan Weisselberg remains out on bail pending that trial. No date for his sentencing has been set yet. Eamon.
Tom, thanks. Let's bring Rebecca back in here. Rebecca, you used to work at the DA's office. So does 5 months seem right to you for this cooperation that we're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, it seemed really low to me. It was the reported sentence prior to the reporting that he was going to cooperate against the organization. But it does seem right to me, given the fact that he is pleading guilty, which, it relieves the government of the obligation of proving his guilt beyond a reasonable doubt at trial. And also he has agreed to cooperate against the companies. And I think that's significant. It's a significant win for the prosecutors here.
And I guess it's hard for us to judge from the outside until we see what that cooperation actually is, right? But explain this to me. If Weisselberg is going to implicate the Trump Organization in crimes, how can he do that without also implicating the man in charge, Donald Trump himself?
That is an excellent question. So first, let me answer your first question, which is, essentially, once Weisselberg admits that he has done what he has done, that dooms the company, because if a high agent within a company commits a crime and the crime in turn benefits the company, which was part of what he said in his plea statement, that is criminal liability for an organization. So how the organization, now that he's cooperating, escapes liability is very hard to imagine. But that said, your second question is an interesting one, because he has promised that he's going to testify truthfully. So if he gets up there and the court later determines, or the prosecution later determines, that he was not truthful, they can revoke their promise of, this 5 months sentence. So the question is, can he testify truthfully? effectively and not implicate the former president. Now, I think he can thread that needle. He can thread that needle by saying, look, I did these crimes. I'm a high agent within the company. They were clearly designed to benefit the company. They were pervasive throughout the company. All of these things that will make it very clear that he was essentially conspiring with the organization to commit these crimes. However, he will have to say that Trump somehow was not a part of it. He didn't know about it, hands off. He trusted me, I'm his long-term advisor. Now, that may seem implausible to some of us who have heard his statements about how he acts in his business and know, at this point what his sort of MO is. But as a legal matter before a jury, it's not a crazy defense.
So maybe Weisselberg falls on his sword here and takes the blame for Donald Trump. Rebecca, thanks for the insights. Really appreciate it tonight.